I am Dr. Ratnam, Assistant Professor retired. These days I have been teaching English grammar and English literature as well for the benefit of the students who are appearing for competitive examinations and for those who want to learn English language sitting at home. For these two categories of people, my videos, I hope, will help much. In my earlier video, I taught on mock epic. Still earlier, epic, and later mock epic, sonnet. So these are all elegy. These are all the poetic forms, and these poetic forms are very much useful for the literature students, those who want to learn literature, to enjoy literature. Really wonderful things these are. And another thing is, these days Andhra Pradesh government and Telangana government have announced DSC examination. And so in this DSC examination, school assistants in DSC for English language. For these students I am teaching this literature. And so this literature is useful for the students appearing for school assistants. So today in this class I want to teach on the ballad. This is also a poetic form. Ballad is a very ancient form, existed long before writers took them to write in the modern ballad form. So earlier it was existed in the minds of the people. So this was transmitted from one generation to another generation by mouth. This is the origin of the ballad. Like the epic, the ballad ballad origin out of the folk literature. It is one of the oldest forms in English, older than Chaucer, and is one of the few that are of native growth. Even Chaucer, we know the modern writing from Chaucer onwards. And so ballad existed even before Chaucer's writings. So that means very ancient mode of expression. It's a singing. It's a kind of singing, ballad singing. In our context, it is in old films we can see the ballad form, that is Janapadams or Janapadams. So this is the term used for the ballads. Even before the Chaucer, originally it was sung from village to village to the accompaniment of a harp or a fiddle by a strolling singer or band of singers. So one man singing or a band of singers. They used to roam village to village by singing this ballad. And those singers were much attracted by the people. People used to gather around him or them to listen to the ballad songs, ballad themes, to the accompaniment of a harp or a fiddle. by a strolling singer or bands of singers who earned their livelihood in this way, and this served them, for these ballad singers, a livelihood also. So that means that they used to earn their livelihood by singing these ballads, village to village, roaming from village to village, one place to the other. Living in this way, the minstrel usually sang in the chimney corner of the farmhouse or on the village green, where a knot of eager listeners would assemble to be entertained. So the places generally, village common places are today's communal halls. Generally some land was left over in all the villages for the public entertainments. So in these village common lands, these ballad singers used to come to that place, and most of the audiences used to gather there. Village green, that is called village green or village common, would assemble to be entertained in Scott's Lay of the Last Minstrel. Scott's Lay of the Last Minstrel. We see him welcomed to the court hall. Note this point, students aspiring for the competitive examinations, you note this point. Lay of the Last Minstrel, written by Scott. This is very important. A ballad, a very ancient ballad. And in this ballad, the ballad singer was invited to the royal court for his wonderful singing in the court. So that way, so this attracted much to the court hall. In its earliest stages, that song must have been accompanied by a crude tribal dance. So this this ballad singing was accompanied by a crude tribal dance. The writer used a wonderful word, crude tribal dance. So that means unorganized dance. People, when they were inspired by the ballad singing, they used to move one side or one way or the other. So this is called crude tribal dance. As its very name seem to imply for ballad. Etymologically mean a dancing song. Ballad means etymologically a dancing song. Etymologically means the root word, the meaning of the root word ballad. That means singing, dancing song. It's a ballad means dancing song. In the days before printing was invented, it was handed down by oral traditions. Each successive generation or locality making its own alterations to suit contemporary or local conditions, to suit their local conditions or to suit their local conditions, contemporary needs. Just the ballad form, when this was used by generations. So by coming through generations, it was something altered to suit to the local conditions. Original ballad was entirely different, and slowly it is acquiring the form of art. Form of art is very much form of art and form of growth. I told you in my earlier classes. Form of growth is originally it grows, but form of art is some artistic tastes and artistic values were included into the writing. So that is called form of art. It is transforming into form of art. The local conditions. Most of the ancient English ballads were collected in Bishop Percy's. This also note down, the students for competitive examinations, kindly note down this point. Bishop Percy's relic of ancient English poetry, published in 1765. Relic of ancient English poetry. This was written by Bishop Percy, and it was published in 1765. So most of the qualities of ancient ballad are found in this poem. Once again I tell you, Bishop Percy's Relics of Ancient English Poetry, published in 1765. These points are very important for competitive examination. Next, distinguishing features of ballad. Distinguishing features are: the ballad is a short story in verse. This also you mind it. Ballad is a short story in verse, in poetic form. Verse means in poetic form. It is a short story, but the name given is different. The ballad is a short story in verse, originally intended to be sung to an audience. Since it developed at an early stage in man's cultural evolution, its subjects are deeds rather than thoughts. The subject matter of ballad is deeds. Deeds means works done by ancient heroes, ancient war heroes, or family heroes followed in family feuds. So these are the deeds actually. These works were sung in the form of a ballad. It's very interesting, really. Thoughts, and they are of the simplest kind, such as a memorable feud, a thrilling adventure, sometimes memorable stories or some thrilling adventures were sung in this ballad form. The tale is usually fierce and tragic, and frequently introduces the supernatural. So normally the story for these ballads are tragic ends, and in which a supernatural intervention also was found. Supernatural. The form may be summarized as follows. The poem is written in the ballad measure, a quatrain in which the first and third lines or 4-foot iambic. Once again, for the competitive examinations, I read these lines. Kindly take note of the ballad measures. That means meter of the ballad. Ballad measure a quatrain. Primarily it is a quatrain. That means 4 lines poem. A quatrain in which the first and the third lines are 4-foot iambic, and the second and fourth lines, second and fourth, 3-foot iambic. First, in which the first and the third lines rhyme together. The end words of the first line and the third line, and the second and the fourth line. This is iambic meters. Iambic meters are, example is, there lived a wife and she is wild. First line this is. The order of the meter is AB, AB. AB and AB. In first line it is 4 feet words. 4 feet, we call them 4 feet iambic syllables. AB and AB. First one is, there lived a wife, she is well. First line is over. Second line, a wheel, the wife was she. This is second line. You remember the end word of the second line is she. So that means fourth line must rhyme together. The second line and fourth line must rhyme together. That's all. This is the iambic meter. A wife, thy wife was she. Then third line, she had 3 stalwart sons. She had 3 stout and stalwart sons. So that means third line was over. Then fourth line must rhyme to the second line ending. You mind it. You must observe it. Fourth line. Now I am reading. And sent them over the sea. The end word of the fourth line is sea, and the end word of the second line is she. She and sea. These 2 words are rhyming together in iambic. That means second line ending and fourth line ending rhyme together. That's very important in iambic meters. So ballads is written in iambic meter. It is in the beginning I told you, this poem is written in a ballad measure. Okay, so it is clear, I think now, in a ballad, it is a quatrain. Quatrain means 4 lines poem, and the second line and fourth line rhyme together. So this is very specific in ballad writing. Often variations in the number of both syllables and lines are introduced to suit the requirement of the thought. Later syllables and the length of the words were changed to suit to the local requirements. The tale opens abruptly without any attempt to a systematic introduction. Sometimes writers in epic, there is proposition and invocation, but in this ballad form, ballad suddenly and abruptly opens. Directly it goes into the subject matter. It does not introduce, it does not no provocation, no such thing, no proposition. It suddenly or abruptly enters into the subject matter without introduction. Sometimes it begins with questions and answers which do not state who the speaker are, but make the situation quite clear, as in the ship of the Fiend. So a ship of the Fiend is a prominent ballad in which questions and answers began with questions and answers. But it was not absurd. Though it began with questions and answers, it was not absurd. Not absurd means not unclear, because it is clear. The questions here introduced are read like this. Oh, where have you been, my long lost love? This long 7 years and mere, question mark is there, mere. This is second line ending, mere. For mayor, M-A-I-R, mayor is a Scottish word. This poem perhaps might come from Scottish origin. The name of the poem is The Ship of the Fiend. So the mayor is a Scottish word meaning more. In our English word it is more. In Scottish language it is mayor. Oh, I am come again to seek your love, and the vow that you did swear. So in iambic meter of the ballad, I told you already, second line ending and fourth line ending must rhyme together. Second line ending is mayor and fourth line ending is swear, S-W-E-A-R, swear, rhyming together. These two words are rhyming together. So this is ballad form. A quatrain, second and fourth line, ending words rhyme together. It is important, it is impersonal in treatment with nothing to show the writer's identity or personality. It is as though the tale told itself. A ballad is sometimes impersonal. Impersonal means there is no we cannot identify who the speaker is. So it is totally impersonal, and somebody's tale. It is like tale telling itself. Tale telling itself. A tale is telling itself. That's all. It's not a man. The epic sometimes has personal touches. Paradise Lost example, but the ballad never. In epic there is some personal touchings, but in ballad we don't find personal touchings, because in epic what happens was, when Milton was writing this epic Paradise Lost, we can see the interpolations of the writer. We can understand the writer's personal thoughts and personal activities, but in ballad we cannot find any such personal details. So this is how ballad is. Often the same lines are repeated from stanza to stanza as a refrain, and stock phrases are freely used. The following stanzas from the Douglas tragedy illustrate the following. The following stanzas from the Douglas tragedy. The writers, who the writer is not given here. Douglas tragedy. Douglas tragedy is a ballad. In this, lines are repeated like refrain. Refrain means repetitions. Lines are repeated, and sometimes even the first quatrain last line is repeated on to the second quatrain first line. Last line of the first quatrain is repeated in the first line of the second quatrain. So that means the last line and the first line of the two quatrains are repeated again. The same words and same lines are repeated. So I read here, for example, until they came to the Van water, and there they lighted down. Oh, they rode on and on they rode. This is the first line of the first line of the first stanza. First line of the first stanza repeated again into the onto the second stanza's first line. Oh, they rode on and on they rode. This is the first line of the first stanza. Again, second line of the first stanza also the same line. Oh, they rode on and on they rode. The meter rhyming scheme is the same. The second line ending, first quatrain, last word is moon. And then last word of the fourth line is down, moon and down, rhyme it together. In the second quatrain, moon and down. So the same lines, same words, rhyme it together. So this is called refrain, repeating once again the words and the lines very often get repeated in these ballads, sometimes, not always. The following are some of the stock phrases. Of course, this is not needed for the readers now. There is no attempt to detail of time or place. The ballad belonging to a period when both could be ignored or left vague in the interest of the story, as in The Wife of Uzzars. The Wife of Uzzar. The Wife of Uzzars is another ballad in which time and place are ignored. Time and place are very important for the writers. They took it very seriously. But in these ballads, time and place are ignored. Only the interest is shown in the story. Kinds of ballad. This is another subheading. Kinds of ballad. Ballads are primarily of two kinds. The ballad of growth and the ballad of art. As I told you already, ballad of growth is original stories, slowly growing from one stage to other, and ballad of art is a late entry into the ballad writing. Some of the ballads that were written by the modern writers are the Scots Eve of St. John, written by Scott, is one ballad of art, that is already is a new form, gained into newness. Mind you, you must remember these names for the competitive examinations. The Scots ballad, that is Eve of St. John, is a ballad. Eve of St. John, written by Scott. And next to ballad, S.T. Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Wonderful. Rime of the Ancient Mariner is a ballad. Students of literature, they must know something about this Rime of the Ancient Mariner. So this is also a ballad of art, because art was introduced in it by S.T. Coleridge. And next one is, and Keats' ballad. Keats also wrote a ballad, La Belle Dame Sans Mary. La Belle Dame Sans Mary. So this is another ballad written by John Keats. Mind you, once again, I read these ballads for your competitive examinations. Scott's Eve of St. John. This is one ballad. S.T. Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner. This is another ballad. Keats' ballad La Belle Dame Sans Mary. So this is another ballad written by John Keats. A mimic form of the ballad of art, as in the case of the epic, in the mock ballad, in which a comic theme is treated with the seriousness appropriate to a ballad. So mock ballad is also introduced by some of the writers. Ballad is a tragedy, almost a tragic form, and a very interesting story from family feuds or war heroes or something like that. But a comic, this is mock ballad. Mock ballad means mocking. The seriousness is marred, M-A-R-R-E-D. The seriousness is marred by just like a laughter, a gesture. And so this is called mock ballad. Mock ballad for a trivial thing, just like the mock epic. The trivial thing, a small thing, has been made into the sublime theme, and introducing all warfare and all classical language and all these things. But here, in a mock ballad, the language is commonest language, and the theme is also very common. It's almost it's a parody. Parody means it evokes laughter. Ancient Mariner. For Ancient Mariner, there is one mock ballad. Ancient Mariner is the ballad, original ballad of art. And for that, there is another William Magin, the Rime of the Ancient Wagoner. So the Rime of the Ancient Wagoner, actually the Rime of the Ancient Mariner was written by S.T. Coleridge. But a parody was written on the same lines, same heading, just a small change, by William Masham. The Rime of the Ancient Rime of the Ancient Wagoner. That is Mariner, and this is Ancient Wagoner. Parodying the rhyme of the ancient mariner, is another interesting specimen. Here are a few stanzas describing the wagoner's fateful journey with his passengers. So in the ancient mariner, the mariner alone arrives to the shore, and all 200 sailors followed ancient mariner, were put to death by the agent of death on the way, on the sea. But in this mock ballad, the rhyme of the ancient wagoner, all 200 sailors are safe, and all of them reach to the shore. So this is a parody of the ancient mariner. Okay, in this way, ballad, the earliest point of the ballad, and its journey towards the modern ages, and finally it reached to the mock ballad form also. So students of literature must know all these things about ballad. This topic is from poetic forms. Earlier some of the poetic forms I explained you. Today I explained on this ballad form. If you like this video, you can share it to others and subscribe it. Learn more. Well.